Gosu Typeloaders and Gosun, which is a project I created. So it's JSON as a first class type, and I apologize for the terrible wrong thing. So I'm one of the weird people at the conference who both knows what Gosu is and uses it on a daily basis. So how many people here actually know what Gosu is? 1, 2, 3. That's kind of nice. So basically, Gosu is a JVM language released by a company called Guidewire. And I just listed some of the features here. So, you know, some of the typical stuff. So type inference, one of the nice things it can do is if you know what the type is, you can just say new. Blocks, which are like closures, null safety, implicit type is cast, so in an if statement, if you do type is, you are that type. Enhancements, so I added this compile method to string. Name parameters, object initializers, those are just some of the nice things about Gosu. It's not all of it, but that's some of the stuff. So what I'm talking about today is Gosu's open type system. And basically, it allows you to programmatically expand what the type system consists of. So it starts off with just having Gosu classes. And you can inject other stuff in there. And so this kind of gives you the idea of data and static types converging, because you can base these things off of just raw data and not actually have to do any like code generation or anything else. And it's used along Gosu classes as a first class type itself. So it was proprietary when I first started using it. It became open source like a year and a half ago. And when it became open source, I was playing around with some REST APIs, and it was kind of like, well, I want to be able to like get really up and running quickly with a REST API and just get going. I don't have to generate stuff or use like a JSON library or whatever. And so what I noticed was pretty much all REST APIs that use JSON represent their quote unquote schema as just the JSON that you're going to use. And so you go to their site and it says, call this, and this is what our response is. And so I wanted to be able to just take that and just get going. And so basically, I wrote a type loader, which is what they call them in Gosu, and it recognizes the jar you have and looks for particular file types within your project and loads them up as types in the system. So all I had to do was, after I created it, which took a long time, I created, I put api.github as my package, and then organizationinfo.json as the name of the file. And organization info becomes the type name based on that. And so based off this, I just dropped this in my project, just copied this right from the GitHub desktop. And based on that, I could go into my into a Gosu program, import that as a first class type, and then just get the data from GitHub and just print it all out statically. And so I'm going to show an example of it and some of the type loader validation that you can do. So instead of going to the site, I have a sample already created. This is an example user. So I'm going to create eventually, I'm going to create some user.json. I'm going to input this JSON there, and go to my main program. And I've got my user object available already. And based on that, I have all the attributes of the JSON available to me, strongly typed as a static object. And so I can create some information about it and then print it out. And that prints out the JSON. I already have access to all that. Now, in addition to this, because the type loader is doing parsing of this information, the type loader has hooks that the IDE can hook into, and so I can actually do validation and treat it even more like a first class type. So I can come in here and say, I'm going to invalidate this, and it's going to tell me, well, at this line, there's an unexpected token, and I actually get validation support within the IDE itself for these just raw data types that I'm using. And so, aside from just being able to load up data, which is just a common example of it, you can also kind of bend the type system a little bit with it. And so, what some of the Gosu guys have done is they've created, just for fun, they replicated the C# dynamic type in Gosu using type loading. They've implemented duck typing using a protocols thing using type loading. And it would be pretty simple to create like a Scala case class. So you could create your own case class, even just use the exact same structure of Scala, bring it into your system, and it would apply, create all the equals and hash code and all that stuff for you. And then there's also more to my Gosun project as well, we created a simplified JSchema format while we're doing this, but those are other benefits today. So that's the Gosu Typeloader.